We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Queens Get the Money. My name is Barry Grant Jr. There is my homie Tom Grill. What's up, man?
Nothing much. I can't wait. Like I think we're a week away from pitchers and catchers reporting. I'm
Happened
so
today.
excited. Oh, it happened today. It was
They're
today.
in
Okay.
today
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
there
I
you
am
go.
Set.
it can't
Everybody's hyped. We got my man Jaron from NYM News. What's going on, my boy? We
Yeah.
haven't talked in like 2 months, so
I
I'm
know.
sure I need some positive input out of you today. You know what
Yeah.
I
Well, the last time we talked, the sky was falling in Mets land, and here, spring is opening up. Pitchers and catchers are reporting. So I think Noah Syndergaard put it best. When he was on the Mets, he basically said something along the lines of baseball is a way of breaking your heart and then patching it back together as spring training starts up again.
That's
So
the way it is, man.
that's the cycle that we're in. That's the
That's
daily
exactly
thing.
what it is. I kind of look at it like, as the time gets cold, your heart hardens and it freezes, and then it's starting to thaw out come late February, March, and we back on it, baby. That love for the Mets continues to pump through all of us, man. So we're excited. Like, share, and comment. This audio will be out at some point today. So those of you that are in here, salute. Um, let's go ahead and just discuss the biggest news of the day or biggest news for the Mets right now. Big elephant in the room. Francisco Lindor, it's official that he is going to get surgery on his hand for that hamate bone fracture. David Stearns has talked about that he will be ready for opening day. I'll go ahead and ask Tom first, and then we'll go to you, Jaron, after that. Like, what are your thoughts on the news of that and how you guys are feeling, Tom?
honestly, I don't it feels I'm upset, but it feels right because it almost I honestly I'm hard pressed to remember a Mets off season where we didn't go into spring training or leave spring training without some kind of injury. So like this just kind of
Hmm.
feels commonplace. I am like, if this injury happened now, I'm glad this isn't like we're going to see if he can manage the pain and then judge when he's going to get the procedure. I'm glad that that procedure happened today. It's happening today if it didn't happen already. And he can just spend the time recovering and getting ready for the season. I'm a little skeptical that he's actually going to play opening day. I think that might be wishful thinking simply because he's going to take some time to get healthy. And like, I feel like it's really weird to just take a player who probably wouldn't have a spring training and just throw him into the opening day roster. That seems a little crazy to me. And again, I'm thankful that this injury is happening now and not in June, July, or August.
Jaron?
Well said. Yeah, well said. I pretty much agree. Generally, my first reaction was, "Oh, why is he waiting until February to get this surgery?" But who knows if back in October when he got the other elbow surgery, if it was even a concern then. Maybe it just caught up to his attention here in entering spring training. And Lindor, of all people, doesn't really miss time. So I would think it had to be pretty bad for him to bring it up as a concern. That being said, to Tom's point, historically with the Mets, I feel like timelines on injuries never are accurate for them. But that's, I guess, more going based off historically speaking in our PTSD as fans. So we hear that, oh, he may or may not miss opening day, and we immediately get concerned as fans. But, my main concern for Lindor overall is now that's going to be his second surgery in the same offseason, and he's 32 years old. I don't want to say he's due for an injury or even put that out there, but he has been very healthy as a Met to this point, and now that he's 32, coming off two surgeries, I wouldn't be surprised if he is more injury riddled this season than what we've seen in seasons in the past. But at the same time, he should be coming back latest in April and will be okay, hopefully, for most of the season.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I expect him to be a little bit more injury riddled. I just think that it was one of those things where, listen, he had to clean up the elbow, and if this hamate bone injury was something that he's been dealing with, according to David Stearns, we got to take him at face value. He's been feeling this type of tightness and soreness in his arms, in his hands for a while now. But Lindor is an old school guy. He's not gonna go ahead and complain. If he can grip the bat, if he can swing, he's going to go ahead and stay on the field. But, it got to a point where I believe that he just couldn't hide it anymore. He couldn't gut through it. And it's like Tom said, like you said, it's best to get it done now. I rather this now in March than in July, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
Definitely.
let him get it done now. You know, I seen in the comments Armand said, yeah, listen, let him sit out until May. I don't think that there's anything wrong for him to be able to get an extended spring training, get him as much reps as possible, ramp him up, make sure that the hand is not showing any soreness or anything like that. His range of motion is good. There's no need to rush him back. You can be able to keep Bichette at short for a month and us not necessarily falling off the table. He's not a great shortstop. He doesn't have great range, but at the end of the day, we can be able to sustain for at least a month until he comes back.
And I mean, really, this is a time like how many? I think last year we got it a lot, and I think even no, Ronnie Mauricio was hurt the year before, right? He was hurt in 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2024.
we're gonna be able to, like, depending on how long Lindor is gonna have to miss starting the season, he's probably gonna get some reps. You know, he came up as I think Mendoza talked about it today. Mauricio came up as a shortstop, so I mean, maybe you give him some looks there if you're a little worried about Bichette's range. Like, you can kind of afford to do that when we're in March and April. You know, just to kind of get him the at bats. Everybody keeps saying Mauricio doesn't get enough shine. He doesn't get enough at bats. He doesn't get enough time to prove himself. Here it is. You're probably going to be able to play. If you're not playing third, you're going to probably be playing short.
And Armand just said it. He said Ronnie and Brujan are going to maybe be able to rotate and kind of platoon that until Lindor comes back. Like, whatever the situation is, if Mendy doesn't want to play Bichette at short, there's options there. So that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Seems like they really want Bo Bichette to focus on transitioning to third base.
Yeah.
I mean, he's mostly played shortstop throughout his career. So off the bat, I was thinking, Bo Bichette could be an option. Marcus Semien, he's had a lot of shortstop experience. He could be an option, but it seems like they want those guys to actually stay focused on what should be their primary positions throughout 2026. I feel like based off what Mendoza said, if it's not Mauricio, Semien would seem more likely. I know Brujan was mentioned, but if Lindor's out for a month and we need an everyday shortstop, I just don't see Brujan like being that guy. Mauricio, I could see them giving a shot, but I think if it does escalate into like a month timeline or even over that, you'll see them experiment with someone like Marcus Semien at short. That's just my personal theory or my belief.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Listen, I'm all for giving the young kid an opportunity to see, because you know he really didn't get a fair shake last year just because of all the situations with the roster, and literally kept him hostage just because you wanted to protect that last year of option for him, which was terrible. So hopefully they can be able to allow him to be able to get some reps, get some opportunities, because I still believe in Ronnie. I think Ronnie is a special talent, and you got to find ways to be able to get him on the field and get him confident, because if he can be able to get his footing, man, like you might be talking about one of your next best young stars. You know what I mean? Because in regards to when you think about him and Vientos, better footwork than Vientos. Obviously, the bat is not as proven as Vientos for the 1 year, but the upside is a lot higher, right? So I would rather see Ronnie get opportunities in that situation. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for our depth. I'm excited for what we've acquired so far. Let's go ahead and go. I'll spit this out to you guys. Is there any position battles that you guys are foreseeing going into spring training? Whether it be the rotation, whether it be the bullpen, whether it be right fit. Like, what are your thoughts? I'll go to Jaron first if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, off the bat for me, Christian Scott is a very intriguing piece. He was out all of last year, but in 2024 showed real flashes, real signs of a potential serviceable young starter for the Mets. And David Stern said the other day he's open to starting the season off with a 6-man rotation. The Mets would be in a good spot if that's a problem they have to worry about, having 6 capable starting pitchers. And Scott's a guy in that mix where it's not really determined exactly what his role will be. It seems like he's definitely a consideration to make that rotation, but he might also be a bullpen piece as well. So he's a guy I'm definitely looking out for, because I think the upside is definitely still there. But with Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong getting all the attention recently in terms of young pitchers in that Met system, I feel like a lot of people have been forgetting about Christian Scott and Tobias Myers, who they acquired alongside Freddie Peralta. he has a similar role where you don't know if the Mets are going to use him as a starter or as a bullpen guy or a little bit of both. So I'm keeping my eye on those two particularly. They're, I think, the most intriguing to me.
Tom?
No, I'm honestly right there with him. I think a lot of the competition is going to be like pitching centered. Period. Like I feel like a lot of the rotation right now is pretty, until you get to the bottom, is pretty like rounded out. We're probably gonna, it's obviously going to be Peralta, McLean. I think Peterson's obviously still going to get a shot. They're still going to rely on Kodai Senga. We're still going to have to live with Sean Manaea. And I think that a lot of the competition is going to be like, okay, who's going to end up being that sixth man, like Jaron said, and then mostly like, okay, so how are we rounding out this bullpen? Like, how are we going to, okay, if Christian Scott's not going to be enough to crack the rotation, can we throw him in a bullpen role? Can we lengthen out this bullpen the Mets bullpen? I feel like outside of Edwin Diaz for years was always a question mark. So, because I feel like the lineup, the position players, like that's pretty much all set in stone. Like we know for the most part who's playing day in, day out, or who the options are to play day in, day out. I don't see that changing very much.
Yeah. I like that option. I'm actually intrigued at right field. I am curious to see what right field looks like, just because we got the word, and we'll talk about that a little after this. But the fact that Juan is no longer in right field, now you have a plethora of guys. You got MJ Melendez, you have Benj, you have what's his name, Taylor. So you have guys that are also too. I heard that whatchamacallit, Beatty's gonna get some reps in right too. Yeah. So there's a lot of intrigue in the right field position, and I'm curious to see what happens. Who actually claims that spot? Is there gonna be a platoon thing where you have two really good platoon options or three platoon options there that you can be able to kind of like plug and play? So I'm really interested to see who grabs that job first, and who sees it that they can be able to kind of seize that opportunity and really make an impact in the lineup.
Yeah, agreed. Right field's an interesting spot. The Mets have been high on Carson Benj the entire offseason. Even before the Brandon Nimmo trade, I was hearing him as a guy the Mets were really looking at as being a potential difference maker and an impact guy in 2026. So initially, I actually thought way before all the offseason chaos unfolded, the Mets were going to give him a shot as their primary center fielder, with Cedric Mullins being a free agent and Tyrone Taylor's bat being abysmal. As much as I love Tyrone defensively, like every day, it's tough when you have, I don't want to say an automatic out, but it's just, you look at that.
Close. He was.
You look at that spot. He basically was.
It's cool.
So, Carson Benj is definitely, I think, an X factor sort of guy of all the right field options, just because we don't know what we're getting. We don't know if he's MLB ready. We don't know if he'll be an NL Rookie of the Year candidate when he comes up. We don't even know if he'll make the opening day roster. So there's a lot of things up in the air. But overall, definitely, I think, to your point, Barry, that's probably on offense or defensive alignment-wise. Outside pitching, also something I'm looking out for the most as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts about Juan Soto jumping to left field? I think, personally, it's a great move. I don't know why they didn't do it last year. Just because, like, naturally, I just think that he's a natural fit in left field. He's played a lot of games in left field. So, it might have just been his choice, or maybe just the alignment because Nimmo was there. But I just like the fact now that he's in left field, because I believe it's a better defensive alignment. Normally you always kind of put your weakest outfielder in left. So now I think our defensive alignment is a lot better. So thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I maybe they just put him in right. I feel like they might have just put him in right field last year, like you said, probably for Nimmo, and because he was playing there the year before with the Yankees. So like maybe give him some. I think he was towards the end of his time in Washington. I think he still did in San Diego. So I think
he played the whole season in left field in San Diego.
Yeah. So
he did.
So but again, and it sounds like that this was a move that they were probably going to make at some point anyway. Like, left field is not as demanding in Citi Field specifically as it is in right field. Like, when I heard that once, like, I obviously didn't pay hardcore attention to how bad of an outfielder Soto was. And when I did kind of dig into it, and I was like, oh man, going to right field with those weird angles in Citi Field, like, I don't know if I necessarily want to see that year in and year out. And I don't care about, I care about Juan Soto's defense, but as long as he's comfortable and is still going to hit as soon as he gets to the plate, play him wherever. You know,
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with him being a left fielder.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you. I don't really particularly care one way or another. It's just all depends on Juan Soto. I feel like he was probably ramping up to be a left fielder for the World Baseball Classic, and he thought, hey, I'm already preparing to be a left fielder, and we got rid of Brandon Nimmo. Might as well just keep up that momentum that I already have practicing left field. And to Armand's point, Soto has plenty of experience in left field. It's not a transition for him at all. He played mostly left field in 2023 with the Padres too. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. The only thing that stuck out to me, and I don't know if I definitely have to look more into this, but off the bat, I can't really think of that many left fielders who throw left-handed. It just visually as a fan, it's a little off to me because I feel like I'm used to seeing guys who throw left in right field and then guys who throw right in left field. So that I guess maybe concern, but that's just more, I guess, what I'm.
I mean, think about it. We had Nimmo out there, right? We had Nimmo out there, so it didn't seem like that because Nimmo has a noodle arm. It didn't matter what arm he was throwing with anyway. He could have kicked the ball. So it's just one of those situations where, listen, if you can play it, if you got the gun, then if he has the sight line because he's had all of those games out there already, he has the experience to know the angles and know how to play left field. And that's why I think that, he's been such a fresh breath of fresh air in regards to just like being so easygoing and like not being difficult and saying, yeah, cool. Yeah, okay, I'll go to left. I actually want to play left. Hey, listen, I'm open to playing first base down the line if that's an option that they do need me to play. Like, this is a guy, he's a baseball player. He just wants to win. And you saw that last year with him committing to stealing all of those bases, right? Never was a base stealer in his career and really tried to set the tempo because, he started so slow offensively last year that he had to try to find ways to try to generate runs for the rest of the team. So this is a guy that just does whatever it needs to be done on a baseball team just to be a good teammate. And I love that from leadership. He's already, mentoring Luis Robert. Like, they're working out together. These are good things and good steps that I didn't feel that type of vibe last year. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily from him, just from the team in itself. And it just feels a lot more like there's some camaraderie here. It's very early there. We haven't really gotten to anything crazy, but it just has a different feel to me. There was this heavy feeling going into camp the same time last year. I don't know why I had that feeling. We know now why we had that feeling, but I don't have that same feeling. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I'm by myself here with that, but that's just the way I feel.
Oh, no, I totally agree. I do have to say now I will be now, Jaron, I want to thank you because I will be falling down a rabbit hole of looking up all the left fielders that we've had over the years.
I was going to do that later as well.
I need the stat now, Tom. I need
the stat. We'll find out. But no, I'm totally agree with you. Like, it's weird that it's so weird how we had an off season last year that featured us getting Juan Soto coming off of a year where we're in the NLCS against the Dodgers and going into the following year, like, sure, we were a little excited, but you're right. There was that like weird vibe around this Mets team. We're now coming off of what is a historically bad season for the Mets, embarrassing season for the Mets, a total like facelift or just change from what we've had over the last few years. And I'm more excited for this year than I was last year. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just because maybe it's just I'm a victim of the moment where it's like we're getting so close to opening day that I'm just like, let's get to baseball. But no, I mean, I feel pretty good. I'm not going to let anybody complaining about the Mets moving Juan Soto to left field because they're appeasing him from how he was practicing for the DR.
Right.
To like ruin my vibe on this season. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I'm not gonna make the guy that's gonna be here for the next like 15 years comfortable. I'm not gonna do that just because he's a right. No, F that. If he's comfortable in left field, go stick him in left field. Who the hell cares?
Let him play wherever the hell he wants to play as long as he's good. Yeah. Like, we don't care.
The dude's gonna go up there and mash. He's gonna go up and hit and steal bases. Is that do we really need anything else from him?
No, not at all. Not at all.
No.
Absolutely.
Moving on, guys. Moving on. I don't know if you guys seen the Kodai Senga little interview that he had presser. What I took away from that is he knows that it's make or break for him. Yeah. Like, he understands that if he doesn't perform out the gate early, and we're not even talking about, he may not get an opportunity to fix it if he doesn't pitch well within the first few months. He understands that the time is now for him to get back on the horse, and he looks confident. He looks like he understands the moment. So what are you guys' thoughts about Senga? Do you think that he can be able to have a bounce back season? And we're not talking about, rookie season where he posted a sub 3 ERA, but if he can be a guy that's, hey, listen, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6 ERA, I'm okay with that. Just as long as you try to give us anywhere close to 180 innings, and you're good with me. You know what I mean? So do you guys think that he can be able to give us that? And can he actually, sustain a full season of being healthy?
I want to say, I desperately want to say yes, and I really hope we do get a yes. I'm just living off of what we've gotten so far, and what we've gotten a lot of out so far from Senga is just he can't stay healthy, and that's probably my biggest concern. Because when he can pitch and he's healthy, I think he's money. I think he's the perfect for the Mets. He'll be a perfect 3 or 4 starter. Like, I'm not going to complain about Kodai Senga being a 3rd or 4th starter. I'm a little skeptical on if he could stay healthy for a full season, but I mean, if he can, it really lengthens the Mets rotation. And I mean, like, I'm hoping that's what we're going to get. I like that Kodai Senga kind of understands that, like, okay, this hasn't been good enough. We got, we saw flashes of Senga being a really good pitcher. He gets hurt, falls off a cliff, so I like that he has a little bit of a sense of urgency, realizing that he needs to turn it around. And I'm hoping that, that's what we're going to get. And, it's really all we can do at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would like to see more confidence out of a guy we're paying $15 million a year for. At the time when we signed him, we thought he'd be a consistent all-star caliber starter for us. Maybe not that go-to ace, but at least like a solid 2 or solid 3 guy in our rotation. And we've seen flashes of that, but he just hasn't stayed healthy. And history, especially over the last 3 years, tells us that unfortunately that may very well be the case in 2026 as well. And over the past few years, he's among the lowest pitchers in baseball in terms of his innings pitched. He just hasn't really been on the field very much. So, yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Kodai definitely knows it's a make or break year. All these guys, whether they say it or not, like, they're aware of the headlines. They're aware of all the buzz and the rumors. And obviously, if the Mets were reportedly shopping him around, I'm sure there were some conversations with the Mets or his agent. And he was aware one way or another that, hey, he was kind of being floated around in trade rumors, and that definitely has to change your mentality as a pitcher, especially in the market like New York. Senga, I feel like him, Minaya, and David Peterson, in their own way, they're also X factors in that Mets rotation. Yeah, I think most fans are pretty confident out of what we're going to get from Peralta at the top, and even McClain, although he only had 8 starts, he looks so good that we all think he's like almost like our next version of Jacob deGrom. But outside of those two, we don't know what we're getting. Like, we could get all-star upside. We could also get guys who get injured or guys who get bounced around. Like, we just don't know. So, yeah, Senga's definitely in that mix. But I would also say Peterson has kind of a similar mentality with Peterson and Minaya as well entering 2026.
I think that's what another thing that kind of makes me excited about this season is that we have this. Senga's gonna have to perform because, like we were mentioning before, there are guys behind him that will fight for those starts, like Christian Scott, like Jaron mentioned before, Tobias Myers, like you mentioned before. I saw another tweet yesterday that the Mets might be trying to lengthen him out to be a starter. Jonah Tong, we'll see how he handles AAA and if he can make the jump to the big leagues. So, like, a lot of those pitchers, like you mentioned, Jaron, David Peterson, Sean Minaya, Kodai Senga, those 3 are going to kind of be looking over their shoulder a little bit because it's like, okay, if I don't perform here, I might get relegated to the bullpen, and one of these young guys is going to come up and take my job. So, I kind of like that. I like competition. Like, sure, Freddie Peralta, you can be our ace. We are putting a lot on Nolan McClain off the jump. I feel like we're all confident that I think that's going to translate. Those pitches, the movement on his pitches is
nasty.
The dude throws wiffle balls. So I kind of like that we're going to go into a season where the bottom of the rotation is going to be like, okay, I got to nut up or shut up. and I'm so excited to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, definitely. Thoughts on the very, very quiet move of acquiring Brian Hudson, 6'8" lefty. There's something there because in 2024, the man had like a 1.87 ERA or something like that. Had a bad year last season. This is a prototypical David Stearns pitching lab type of prospect. Like, can we expect anything out of him this year? Like, or is this one of those things where it's just like it's worth a shot? But do you think that he has a chance to stick, and could he be something? Because he does have talented stuff.
Yeah, take that.
Oh, my bad. I think it really depends on how AJ Minter recovers. I think that was the real reason they made that move. It was more for depth purposes in case he takes a little bit longer, in case he doesn't make the opening day roster. Yeah. That being said, Barry, to your point, the upside's definitely there because he's only 1 year removed from a very solid 2024 season. And him being a former Brewer, David Stearns knows those guys very well. As we know here, we're basically the Queens Brewers. So,
exactly.
I think there could definitely be something there. And Stearns has a knack for those guys who have one off year, and then but the year before they were good and getting back to that level they were at before. So I look at that move as like a low risk. I don't want to say super high reward, but medium size reward could be a nice, reliable bullpen arm for us. But I look at it more as like depth move and Minter until Minter's return in May. But to Tony's point there in the comments.
Yep.
Totally agree. I couldn't agree more. I'm all about just bringing as just a bullpen. In my opinion, they're so year to year. Like guys will have good years and they'll have bad years, and they're just it's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing. So literally, just reach your hand into a bucket of names for a bullpen and throw it at the wall. Whatever sticks to the wall is what you're going to roll out, and let's see if they have a good season. You know what I mean? Like bullpen pitchers are just so fluky. Yeah, sure. Bring him in, and let's see what he can do. I'm not real worried about it.
Dedniel Nunez, to your point, he's definitely a complete wild card, classic wild card bullpen guy. But when he's been on the mound, I've loved his stuff. I love watching him pitch.
Agreed.
I really hope that guy stays healthy. Kind of reminds me of what we were always hoping, like Hansel Robles would be back in the day. Not to give you guys bad memories. The stuff was there for Robles. He just never really put it together consistently. Yeah. Eventually, the fastball looked flat. But Dedniel, it seems like for him, it's more like injuries. Like he just has to stay on the field because the stuff is also pretty nasty when he's there. So yeah, we have a lot of arms that we don't really have to necessarily rely on Nunez, but that could be a huge plus if he's performing in that bullpen for the Mets.
Yeah, definitely. What are you guys' thoughts on Dylan Ross? You think that Dylan Ross can be able to solidify a spot in the bullpen? Because that's a big kid, big arm. Like, what are your thoughts on him? Because I look at him as really one of the X factors in spring training here. If he can be able to really have a presence and make the staff confident in his abilities, that he can be able to have a really, really good impact on this bullpen just because the stuff is just off the charts.
Again, I'm all for it. I don't put too much. Again, it's because he's a reliever, but I don't put too much stake into. I think the only relievers that I really put a lot of stake into their stats are the closers, because the closers, it's their job to get the final out in the ninth. That's what you're going to do. I'm going to hyper focus on a lot of that. But as far as the middle relievers, long relievers, I'm like, you're just so hit or miss that sure. The Mets have called up names to go come out of the bullpen that I have never heard of before, and they come out and they get clean innings, So sure, Dylan Ross, go for it. You're just for me, you're just another name in the bullpen. Come out, get 3 outs, and I won't have to worry about you again.
Yeah, Tom, you're absolutely right. That being said, Dylan Ross is interesting because he started last season, 2025, in high A. You don't see too many guys in the span of a year go from high A to potentially opening day MLB roster within a year. That's a rarity in the big leagues. So you have to think that he has high upside, and the Mets really like his stuff. Some of the things I've been hearing about Dylan Ross and the hype that he has coming into camp reminds me of how we were evaluating Max Kranick before he went down, especially entering 2025. I feel like Kranick was getting a lot of that attention heading into camp. And I feel like Ross will be this year's version of Kranick. So hopefully Ross could stay healthy. I would love to see him make the roster. But if not, he's only 25 years old. So he performs well in AAA. He could definitely make it at some point in 2026, or if not even 2026, maybe by next year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
They're always calling, and they're always calling, they're sending relievers down, calling them back up. So just because, even if he doesn't crack the opening day roster, that doesn't, and obviously it doesn't mean that he's not going to make a contribution to the team at some point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Big question for me here. What are your thoughts about losing out on Framber Valdez? Is anybody upset losing out on Framber Valdez?
Yeah.
Because I am. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, listen, as good as David Stearns has done this offseason, I ain't got no smoke for you, right? Like, we all right. But that one to me really bothered me, because it's like we got the low, the low years. You got the high AV, and he goes to the Tigers. I don't understand that one, and I would love to know what the negotiation was. Was there even any reports out there that we even had a formal offer? Was there anything out there that has been leaked? Because I would love to know what that was.
Early in the offseason there was, and then it went quiet. It seems like it was more smoke than fire, and the Mets were never really that in on Valdez. A lot of people thought they would be because of the Stearns and Chris Gross connection to Valdez earlier in his career when they were with Houston.
Right.
And I think on paper he would have been a perfect fit for the Mets, because they need innings eaters. They need guys who could go out and consistently throw 6 innings. Even after signing Peralta, based off last season, they only have one guy, Nolan McLean, who was averaging 6+ innings a start. And yeah, I get it that it's a rarity today in the big leagues, but as we saw last year, the Mets using the most pitchers in MLB history, it's not really a formula for success to have pitchers who just consistently can't really go deep into innings. It overtaxes the bullpen, leads to a lot of injuries. And I think there were 5 different relievers who went down with season-ending injuries. Some of those guys who are hurt right now and may not even be available at all in 2026, like Reed Garrett, for example. He's gone for all of next year. So, those things really hurt over the course of a 162-game season. So that's my concern. I get it. To Tony's point in the comments, he definitely had a high price, but premium starting pitching, guys who have a proven playoff pedigree. I mean, the Astros, you can make an argument they don't win in 2022, that World Series, without Framber Valdez. He was he was lights out in that campaign, and I think those things matter a lot when you're trying to take down a team like the Dodgers. You look at their super rotation; they have 4 ace caliber guys. We maybe have 2. We definitely have 1 in Peralta. McLean, we got to see more, but you want as many of those ace caliber pitchers as you can when the big elephant in the room is we got to beat the Dodgers. Someone's got to take them down.
True. No, I agree. I guess I wasn't all that upset, just because by the time Framber signed, I just figured it wasn't happening. I just was like, look, the Mets, if the Mets were going to be involved in Framber Valdez, they probably would have signed him already. We would have heard something about it, and it just didn't happen. I feel like the Mets just looked at it like, okay, we got a lot of guys that are going to be fighting for rotation spots. Do I really want to give up those other draft picks and that international signing money? They didn't want to have to do that because it would have been more, because the Bichette they had to give up some of that because of Bichette, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think
that was definitely a factor.
Yeah, I don't think Stearns was ever going to do that, and I don't know. I feel like the only team that we heard was offering him Valdez anything was the Tigers at this point. So if it's just one other team, I'm not going to get too upset about it, because the whole league wasn't clamoring for him. There wasn't this giant bidding war because everybody thought Framber Valdez was going to be the guy to put them over the top. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I mean, if most of baseball doesn't think he's going to be that guy, I'm not going to get too upset about it. And I know why the Tigers did it. The Tigers did it because they want Skubal insurance, because they know they're not re-signing Skubal next year. They need somebody there to man the top of that rotation. So, yeah, I'll throw a whole bunch of money at Framber Valdez for 3 years, and at the end of that, we'll figure out how we're going to replace Skubal long term. That's why I looked at it that way.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is, if we're gonna lose Framber Valdez to the Tigers, then it's only right that we take Skubal off their hands. You know what I'm saying?
That'll be next year. That'll be next
you can take the $38 million that you're giving him. We'll give Skubal the 55 that he want, and he come here. You know what I'm saying?
I need Tony to understand something. Tony, I don't know if we know Tony, if he's a Mets. If you're a Mets fan, no, don't ever take price out of your head. Money doesn't matter anymore.
Now with the Mets.
Money doesn't matter anymore. Steve Cohen has a lot of money. Let him throw whatever he wants at whatever player they want. Like money is not gonna be an issue for me anymore.
Once that casino gets built, the Mets are gonna be printing money.
Yeah.
Like printing money.
Yeah, like
I can't wait for that.
Price shouldn't ever really be an issue on if they want to bring a player in. It should just be years, and if you think it's going to be a good fit. If the Mets didn't think Framber Valdez was going to be the thing to put them over the top, because like we said before, like it's really like this whole offseason from the beginning to end, it was really hard, at least for me, it was really hard for me to look at on paper the Mets putting a team together that is like at the season start, okay, that team is definitely competing or beating the Dodgers. I don't think there was any moves the Mets could have made to make me that confident. You're going to have to just take what you can get, go into the season, and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. What I would say, though, as it pertains to that, is if you're going to go out and have a payroll pretty close to $400 million, you want a team that actually could realistically compete with the Dodgers in a playoff series. I think maybe we could get a game or two in a series like that. I'm just not confident. I think when you look at the 2024 NLCS, what plagued the Mets above everything in that series against the Dodgers was their starting rotation got smacked around. I think they had like a 7.80 ERA. It was in the sevens. It was very high.
They walked the planet.
Right.
They walked the planet in that series.
Yeah, exactly. And they added Freddie Peralta. They got McLean. So those are definitely upgrades. But we still have Sean Manaea. We still have David Peterson. We still have Kodai Senga as go-to options, just like we did in 2024. So, there's been some marginal improvement. But the Dodgers are coming off back-to-back, and they added Kyle Tucker, and they stole Edwin Diaz from us. So it's like they're already the best team in baseball, and they're like, oh, we have a closer hole. They got the best possible closer. All right, we have a hole in the outfield. They got the best possible guy they could have gotten on the corner spot. So, it's like, why even have a $400 million payroll if you can't realistically beat them? I give them credit for trying, but I think they could still close that gap a little bit more with another proven ace who could eat 6 innings. I believe that Stearns is probably going to be waiting more towards the deadline to make a splash for that pitcher. That's when the market will open up again, hopefully, for guys. If the Mets are, in that divisional hunt, they're in the wild card mix, they need another starting pitcher to push them over the top. They still have the farm system to get that done. And young pieces like Mauricio and Vientos, who we don't know what their role will be come summertime. So that'll be something to look out for as well, I think.
Totally. And I just think it's like, look, right, like, sure, yeah, the big picture is we have to look at a team that's going to necessarily contend with the Dodgers. But I mean, right now, at the start, once we get to the start of the season, your main concern is, okay, win the division, make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, I obviously, yes, on paper, when you look at it, this Mets team, you can't confidently say, yeah, they're gonna beat the Dodgers. But by the time we get to October, if we're lucky enough to be in the playoffs, by the time we get to October, we don't know we don't know how this team's been gelling all year. We don't know what the Dodgers look like. We don't know what the Mets look like. Like, there's so much that's gonna happen between now and October that, like, sure, it's a thought you have to have, but like, I'm not ready to say, like, okay, just because this team right now on paper doesn't look like it can contend with the Dodgers, I'm not ready to say that it can't contend with the Dodgers.
Right. Know? Listen, baseball is a funny sport like that. Like, I always say that baseball is not one on paper. You can have all the names you want. Like, sometimes even with all those names that the Dodgers had last year, they were still having bullpen issues the entire season just because the guys they paid just weren't producing. So, it's about getting hot at the right time. Matchups matter. Pitching matters deep into the season. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what this Met team is made of, because for one, we got to make the playoffs. And before we start thinking about competing with the Dodgers, let's just make the playoffs. Let's just do that and be able to make sure that we have our spot and have a shot to be able to even play a team like the Dodgers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Yeah.
What do you guys think? Because for me, I just have a feeling that David Stearns is not done. Like, there's still like a not a free agent move to make, but there might be a trade out there that he still might be eyeing. So if you guys are going to just play hypothetical, what would be a trade that you would, we're going to take the Scooble trade out of it. What would be another marginal move that you would love to see the Mets make that would make sure that would make you feel good about the entire rotation, whether the rotation or the lineup? Is there any move out there that you think that the Mets should be able to make?
I don't have a player specifically, just because I've really kind of settled in the fact that I think this is the team that we got right now is the team that we're going to be breaking camp with, or at least starting camp with. I would like to see them maybe, I don't know if it's necessarily a trade, maybe bring in somebody that at least has a little bit of familiarity with first base in case the stuff with Polanco doesn't pan out. So maybe that, but other than that, I don't see Stearns making any more moves outside of maybe some more bullpen help. I think this is our team that we're going to start the season with, or start camp with.
Yeah, well, if we're talking trade market, even though the Twins reportedly took Joe Ryan off the table, the Twins are in such a strange spot right now, and to me, a clear rebuild, especially with their president of baseball operations gone like right before spring training started. I would call up the Twins and see generally just what is the price on Pablo Lopez, what is the price on Joe Ryan. If they need a bat, I know they got Luis Robert Jr., but if Byron Buxton is healthy, he could be a real difference maker in that lineup. I don't know if Buxton is as much of a fit, but if right field's an issue, we got to move guys around. We need another outfielder. Buxton maybe could be a fit in a few months. So I just feel like the Twins, they have so many good pieces, and they're clearly not going to be a contender, barring some unforeseen crazy baseball circumstance. They seem like a rebuilding team, but they're holding on to all these pieces that contenders could really use, especially Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez in particular. I feel like a team like the Mets could use another starter like that. And I thought when I was hearing Nimmo's name on the market, I was like, okay, maybe they try to flip Nimmo earlier in the offseason. Maybe they try to flip Nimmo for Joe Ryan. Right. The Marcus Semien return completely caught me off guard. So yeah, Stearns is a very, very hard guy to predict. I'm keeping my eye on the Twins because of all those big name players they got on their roster still, and not really in a position to compete next season.
Yeah. Those are great names as well. Me neither. I don't really necessarily have a name. I just believe that and Tony just took it out of the air. Like, not saying a necessarily a trade, but a guy like Mike Tauchman. I love Mike Tauchman. Like for me,
you want another Yankee.
A guy but you know what it is with me is
it's always going to be a Brewer or a Yankee, Tom. But
you know what it is? Like Mike Tauchman, when he had the opportunity to play on the Yankees that year, when they had a whole bunch of injuries, he showed so much. The guy can play. He's a defender. He's an older guy, but this is a guy that has some ability here. So I would love a guy like that, just because he's proven defensively, and that he can be able to be one of those situational bats. But like Tony said, a guy like Uribe, right, from Milwaukee, love that guy. Right, I would love that guy. I know Yandy Diaz is a pipe dream at this point.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying? Is Conforto a free agent?
Oh,
I think he still is. I don't think he's gone picked up yet.
What about Conforto?
I'm going to take
Bring him home
right now.
Bring him home.
I haven't heard his name in months. So
I
assume he's still a free agent.
I think he is still a free agent.
Yeah, bring his ass home, man. Stick him in first base.
Stick him in first base.
Stick him in first base, man. Make it work.
Isn't that so? Like, I just want to say, isn't that so funny that I don't want to. We don't have to relitigate the Pete stuff anymore. But like everybody, we were all so concerned about Pete Alonso being gone from first base, and like, oh my God, Jorge Polanco, can he actually play first base even though he's never played a game there? Except first base is that position that they're like, yeah, just bring the guy in, throw him at first, he'll figure it out.
Give him a first base job, he'll figure it out.
He'll just figure it out. Go out there and do it. I agree. I think, but I would agree with you that it would be cool to see a Conforto or like another bat come in just to be a guy off the bench. I do just really want to give some of these young guys real, especially in the beginning of the season when you're still kind of working things out. I'm not trying to say that early. I'm not trying to say that games don't matter, but I'm just saying in the beginning, you have the liberty of being like, okay, let me give some of these young guys some opportunity to see if they can actually take the ball and run with it. Can Beatty actually adjust to right field and be okay? I want to see stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, I feel like if you bring in a Talkman, if you bring in any of these guys, they're just going to eat up those positions for some guys that might actually be able to contribute long term.
Yeah, that's fair. Tony HVAC had a question here. He said that did you speak about the pitching blow Atlanta took? Catch me up on that. I didn't hear that.
Spencer Schwallenbach's out on the 60-day IL. I don't know what his status is, like how much time he's gonna miss, but I feel like he's probably gonna miss a little bit of time to start the season. And I was actually just thinking about the Braves as a team. Like, why would they not? They've been linked to Chris Bassett a lot recently, but why would they not bring in Zach Gallen at this point?
Exactly.
They need arms. So I feel like, knowing Alex Anthopoulos, he might have another big move up his sleeve before the season starts. Gallen's I'm surprised he's still not signed. I know he's coming up down here, but
he had such a bad year that I think teams are just scared. Like if he would take a 1-year deal, a prove-it deal, then I think a lot of teams would be a lot more interested. But I don't believe that he's even in the market to say that he wants a 1-year deal.
But to me, the market's so strange because I don't think his profile is too different than Dylan Cease, who got 7 years, $210 million. Right. Cease has good stuff, but he's very shaky in terms of his consistency and still always ends up with an ERA like in the 4 or 5, which is, I mean, it's I guess it's good, but is it $200 million plus money? I don't really think so.
But QO as well too.
Yeah. But also when you're the Blue Jays and you can't get anybody outside of Vladimir Guerrero to take your money, I guess you have to back up the brain.
You'll give anybody $210 million.
Like they were begging to pay people, and they were just like, "No, I'm good."
That's true. I think their culture's different now, coming off that.
Oh yeah,
they should have won the World Series, but you're right. Playing in Canada is different too.
Because think about it, Dylan Cease didn't even wait. What was it like? One of the first signings. Well, all right, cool. You give me 210. I'm not even gonna.
Because if he didn't take
test the market,
if he didn't take that one, he was going to be like Framber and Gallen. He was just going to be sitting there, probably signing before the season started.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he would have probably got a deal before those guys, but he wasn't going to get anywhere near $210 million.
No, not a shot. The Blue Jays are crazy. I would imagine that Framber Valdez and Zach Gallen are pissed at Dylan Cease because, like, dude, I'm not going to get anywhere close to that. Like, you just took that right off. Like, cool, happy for you. You made a whole bunch of money. But, like, damn, dude, if you're setting the market at that high, nobody's signing me for that.
Yeah, I think to your point, it might have rocked the market a little bit just because all the owners were just like, okay, is that what we're doing this year? Is that what's going on? Okay, no, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? So you could be right. I think it might have shocked a lot of the front offices out there and said that now, okay, we don't want to spend that type of money.
They were still sipping the World Series Kool-Aid a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Sabermetrics love Dylan Cease though. With his baseball savant and just like his profile as a pitcher. A lot of these analytically driven front offices love the makeup of Cease. So I figured that there was going to be a team that would overspend on him.
Yeah.
It makes sense, looking back in hindsight, that it was the Blue Jays because, to your guys' point, they've been so desperate to just sell anyone on coming to Toronto.
Yeah.
So I guess it's good for them, but I don't know. I mean, if I was a free agent, and I saw a guy sign for $200 million. I'd rather him sign for a high amount than a low amount because if the price is set low, then I'm like, oh shit,
you really
signed for $100 million.
Yeah.
I'm not on his level. I'll be looking to get $50 million, right?
Right. So, that's true.
Fair. It kind of goes both ways, I think. Yeah.
It's definitely a double-edged sword. Here's the last thing that we'll talk about before we get out of here. I need you guys, big surprise for the spring. I need one name from each of you who's going to have a big spring. Now, we all know that spring doesn't mean that a guy is going to have a phenomenal season, but we're just gonna, save it to spring. We're gonna isolate it to who's gonna have a big spring. So, who wants to go first?
Jaron, you go first. I feel like I've been going first this whole time.
Okay. I'll go first. Mark Vientos. I think Mark Vientos is so due for a bounce back year. He's been in endless trade rumors for years now, right? And I think he's got to be over all that talk. I think he wants to put that to bed, and he knows now, obviously, with the guys the Mets have brought in, there's competition. He's not even guaranteed consistent playing time at all entering 2026. I think he has a lot to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's still only one 1 year removed from an amazing 2024 campaign, and in the playoffs was looking like a star, right? So I have a lot of hopes for Vientos still. Him and Mauricio, I still really believe they have something and could be big pieces for the Mets this coming season. And yeah, Vientos, and we were talking about bringing an outside first baseman. If we need to slot someone at first base, why not just stick Vientos there? He's tall, he's big.
Terrible feet. I don't want him nowhere near first base.
I get it. I get it. Like I know Ty France is on the free agent market, and he's coming off a Gold Glove award. But then imagine a lineup where you're starting Ty France and Tyrone Taylor like every day. Like it's tough because you can only put one defensive first player in the lineup. If you have two, then all of a sudden you're kind of giving away two spots in that lineup.
Don't give David Stearns any ideas. If he hears this, you're like, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. I like that. I like that. Tom, what do you got?
Mine is I am really hoping I'm not about to shoot myself in the foot with this one. I am putting all my eggs in the Carson Bench basket.
Okay, you're going Carson Bench.
They're giving him every opportunity to take that job, take a corner outfield job. There's a lot of hype around him. Yeah. He looked really good in the minors last year. We've been getting sold Carson Bench. We let Jet Williams go because Carson Bench is here.
And we got AJ Ewing. We don't need Jet.
Exactly. Who was it? There's somebody that came. There's somebody else. There's one of their other prospects is at camp right now. He looks like he's 12 years old. Not Jonathan. No, I'm giving it to. I'm giving it to Bench. I want to see him actually perform. I think he is going to be the goods.
Listen. I don't think that there's been a position player with this much hype around them since Michael Conforto.
Well, Pete Alonso was Pete Alonso baseball when he was brought up.
But Michael Benj reminds me of Michael Conforto in regards to he's that type of player. You know what I mean? Michael Conforto had such a pretty swing, man. And if it wasn't for Scott Boras' dumbass, he would probably still be a Met. It's just dumb. You know what I mean? So my name, and I'm throwing this out there, I am going El Troll. Okay, I am going Francisco Alvarez. I believe that guy is going to hit some bombs in spring and tell people enough. Okay, I'm tired of this platoon garbage. I'm going to be playing 135 games this season. I'm going to mash 29 home runs and drive in 90 and hit 265. That's what I'm seeing from my man El Troll. That's what I want. That's my surprise for the spring because we've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it. The talent is there. And I just feel that, I want to say that the Hammett injuries on his hands, those are old news, and he's going to have a monster spring, and everybody's going to be like, Alvarez. And not to mention, he's still one of the youngest catchers in baseball. So it's just one of those things that's just like, it's time. It's time.
Yeah, I think the reason I didn't go with Alvarez was because I was just thinking he better hit. He better do it,
Yeah, and if he doesn't, Terens could easily take his job, and we've already seen him take his job before. So he know. And I think to your earlier point, Tom, these are signs of a good team when you have players who a lot of teams out there would give up a lot to get right now. Yeah. Early 20s catcher with high upside, and even he doesn't really have a guaranteed spot if he's not playing well and he's the catcher. Like most teams don't really have that problem, and would give up a lot to have the problems the Mets do. That being said, there are question marks. There's high upside. We don't know how it'll all shake out, but it's good when you have players with high upside. And if those guys don't come through, you have other ones who also have potentially high upside who are ready to take their place. So these are good problems to have, I think, overall as a club.
No, 100%, man. Listen, I think all three of us are excited. Camp is breaking, and we are just hoping. This is the thing I think all three of us are hoping for. Health. I just want guys to come in healthy and come out healthy, right? Mm-hmm. I don't need any obliques. I don't need any UCL strains. I don't need any shoulder tendonitis. I don't need none of this garbage, okay? Just go into camp, have a clean camp, and let's get out of here and let's play ball because I'm excited, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, I have been waiting for football to end. As soon as the Super Bowl ended, I was like, thank the heavens, because guess what? It's baseball time,
You
baby.
were waiting for
It's
football
baseball
to end after week 3, like me.
Yeah,
Don't even tell me.
As a Jets fan, yeah.
As a Jets fan, I was happy. I have never been so happy in my life. It felt like I won a Super Bowl because I saw Sam Darnold hoist that trophy. It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
And not to mention, you kicked the shit out of the Patriots. Ain't nothing better than me.
Oh,
Nothing better than me.
I feel that. I understand. I totally understand.
As a Giants
Agreed.
fan, you guys don't have any strife with the Patriots. You own them. So
Oh no! I get it. I just understand. Like again, you're a Jets. You're a Jets fan. I'm a Giants fan, but we're both Mets fans. So I understand how to deal with.
But when the Patriots
turmoil.
lose, New York wins.
Exactly.
We're not
It's a
rooting for the
great day.
Patriots. We don't have
It's a
anything.
great day.
We have no beef with Seattle.
Yeah, just like Tony's over here talking about the Braves. Swelling by. Okay, cool. I salute to him, but I don't care about nothing Atlanta Braves. I don't care. All right, don't care. That's their problems. We gotta win. All right.
Hell yeah.
That's all I care about. Until next time, I don't know when the hell we're gonna do this. Maybe sometime next week if you guys are free.
Yeah.
Jaron, thank you so much for coming on again, man. You're always a good guest. Always welcome to come on whenever you want to. Just hit me up.
Absolutely.
Me and Tom will definitely be here next week. Hopefully something interesting breaks and we can discuss it. And if not, we'll just come up with some shit. But until next week, stay safe, stay cool. Peace.
Let's go Mets.